Bahamians told to bunker down for the arrival of a tropical wave. There are now 4 cases of Zika virus confirmed in the Bahamas, and a new deal to finish the Baha resort was inked, but not without controversy. We've got those stories and others. I'm your host, Krishna Virgil, and this is the Tribune's Top 5. A tropical wave is expected to touch down in the country this weekend, and heavy rainfall is expected. Residents in the southeast Bahamas were expected to experience pockets of heavy rain and thunderstorms as a tropical wave called Invest 99L continues to move through the islands. Deputy Director of the Department of Meteorology, Basil Dean, said the system is producing tropical storm force winds, though it is yet to form a closed circulation associated with tropical storms or depressions. He said meteorologists have discovered the winds have died down and the shower activity has become disorganized, but residents in the entire Bahamas should prepare for rain beginning Friday until Tuesday. Mr. Dean said regardless of tropical cyclone formation, gusty winds and heavy rain are highly likely to accompany this system and could result in severe flooding over the Turks and Caicos Islands and the southeast Bahamas, which includes Long Island, Ragged Island, Acklins, Crooked Island, Maguana, and Inagua. Law enforcement officials had their hands tied this week after 2 murders took place. A woman was taken into custody after she was accused of stabbing her boyfriend to death in a heated argument early Thursday morning. The murder happened shortly after midnight on Ida Street, pushing the murder count to 68 for the year, according to the Tribune's records. Officer in charge of the Central Detective Unit, Chief Superintendent Clayton Fernander, said the suspect called the police and reported that she had just stabbed her boyfriend. When police arrived at the scene of the crime, they found the lifeless body of an adult male who appeared to have been stabbed to death. Meanwhile, a man who was shot multiple times during an argument in front of his home died in hospital on Wednesday morning. This shooting took place off Blue Hill Road shortly after 11 p.m. This incident marked the 67th murder in the country. Since August 10th, when the first case of Zika was confirmed in the country, officials are now saying that there are 3 additional cases now confirmed. Health Minister Dr. Perry Gomez on Monday said the 3 latest cases of Zika were identified during the last 2 weeks and were confirmed in recent days by independent testing labs. Due to the risk of the virus being spread sexually, health officials have recommended the use of condoms, with a special warning being given to pregnant women to use protection while having sex or not engage in sex at all during pregnancy. The Bahamas reported an initial case of the virus on August 10th in a male who had recently traveled to Jamaica. Officials have said that 2 of the 3 new cases were reported in women, none of whom are pregnant. Additionally, 2 of the cases were transmitted locally. Officials did not say where in New Providence the 3 new cases were identified. Dr. Gomez said all patients have been treated for associated symptoms and were doing well. He noted that officials have tested roughly 83 suspected cases of the Zika virus. However, of the tested cases, only 4 positive tests have been reported to date. Bahamar's original developer, BMD Holdings, on Wednesday joined the Free National Movement and others in criticizing Prime Minister Craig Christie's Monday announcement about Bahamar for lacking specifics. In a statement on Wednesday, Sarkis Ismailian's company said, quote, "The Prime Minister's comments this week regarding the future of Bahamar leave the Bahamian people without any specifics about a definitive buyer, the price that the China Export-Import Bank is contemplating for the resort, and any definitive guarantees that any unsecured creditors will receive any of the monies they are owed. We call on the government of the Bahamas and the China Export-Import Bank to reveal specifics of any completed transaction and provide in detail how unsecured creditors would benefit from this purported transaction," end quote. Mr. Ismailian has been at war with the government throughout the resort's ordeal, first by initiating Chapter 11 proceedings in the United States without the government's knowledge, and later by trying to halt the Supreme Court-approved sales process for the resort. In fact, Wayne Monroe QC argued that it is important to seal court documents related to Bahamar to prevent the original developer from jeopardizing the agreement. Mr. Ismailian's company said, quote, "Of particular interest is both the scheme that has been concocted between CCA and CEXIM and the source of such payments, when unsecured creditors who completed the work they are contracted to complete have yet to be paid or guaranteed payment," end quote. The government on Monday announced that it had reached a new deal to finish the Baha resort. However, while this announcement was met with jubilation, immense pushback was also present. Prime Minister Perry Christie said on Thursday there is nothing secret about Bahamar and that lawyers have instructed him not to divulge relevant details because of the sensitivity of the matter and the amount of money being transacted among parties. He criticized public figures on Thursday, questioning whether they are fit for public service in view of their criticism of the government's limited revelation of details surrounding a recently struck deal with the Export-Import Bank of China to get Bahamar remobilized. Mr. Christie's comments came during a groundbreaking ceremony at the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute to mark the beginning of construction for a $2.3 million smart classroom complex at the institution. Though he was expected to focus on the need for technical education investments in the country, it was clear Bahamar was on his mind. Striking a tone of defiance and frustration, he frequently diverted his focus toward defending his government's actions from critics who say insufficient details about Bahamar were revealed during his evening press conference on Monday. He said, quote, "As we debate Bahamar and they say they don't believe me, even though what I say has to be approved by the courts and held by the courts for the time being, people got to believe I'm stupid. And when I say people, those who say that in all my years in public life, I would get up to the Bahamian people, speak to their future about Bahamar, which is the most complex, vexing issue that resulted in downgrading by Standard & Poor's specifically, and question marks by Moody's rating agencies, that I would get up and announce something that wasn't true. The naivety of people in public life amazes me to the point where I question their fitness to serve." End quote. Sources told the Tribune Mr. Christie was eager to set the record straight on Bahamar, hence his comments. His statements are unlikely to stop the criticism from opposition forces and others who question the motives behind having the Supreme Court documents relating to the Bahamar deal sealed. However, some lawyers have noted that it is not unusual to have documents sealed until negotiations have progressed beyond sensitivity stage. As long as the documents are sealed, they say it is not desirous to publicly disclose the information within them.
Want to get in on the discussion? Well, here's how you can. Just log on to our website at www.tribune242.com, like us on Facebook, the Tribune News Network, send us a tweet at Tribune242, or subscribe to our YouTube page, Tribune242.